The Mandalorian Season 2 has just wrapped up, and I don't think there's ever been a TV show that I've watched where I felt as many emotions moving throughout my body as I did with this show. In the second season, Din Djarin and Baby Yoda continue on their voyage to find more Mandalorians who could help reunite Baby Yoda with his species. I was up until like 3 a.m. last night editing my Star Wars Versus video. I'm pretty freaking tired. If this were a different TV show, I probably would save this for a different day where I have more energy. But since this is The Mandalorian, I must review Season 2 right now. I'm sure some of you have not seen The Mandalorian Season 2 yet, so what I'm going to do is the first half of this review will be non-spoiler, and the second half of this review, for those who have seen The Mandalorian Season 2 yet, I'm going to dive deep into every episode of Season 2, talk about all 8 episodes, give my thoughts, the positives and negatives of each episode. That will be spoiler-filled. If you have seen Season 1 and not Season 2, though, I will say that Season 2 is much different from Season 1. The first season feels episodic. A lot of the episodes don't have the same singular narrative. There's roughly 3 to 5 episodes in Season 1 where Mando is on a mission and Baby Yoda is there chilling with him, and the episode doesn't really have to do with anything else going on in the Mandalorian main storyline. It's just a side mission. We have about 3 to 5 episodes exactly like that. Season 2, though, mostly follows one single story. And I loved how this season focused on one main story rather than just having a bunch of side quests that don't add much of anything to the bigger picture. Season 2 story has a lot more going for it in comparison to Season 1. Season 1 is very episodic, whereas Season 2 tells a story that's larger than life. And the story we get in The Mandalorian Season 2 I thought was a lot better than the story in Season 1, which didn't have much to offer except for the last 2 episodes. Of course, I still love Season 1, but Season 2, my god, you cannot beat Season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's also nice how in Season 2, every episode takes place somewhere new. In fact, we don't spend more than one episode in a single location. The world building improves in Season 2 over that of Season 1. I loved how they expanded the Star Wars universe in Season 2. I always enjoy seeing more planets in the Star Wars universe, especially when we're given really creative planets. And in Season 2, we see planets we've never seen before, and I appreciate that. Now let me get into the bulk of what Season 2 mainly has to offer. This season is maybe the most action-packed season of a TV series that I've ever seen. There's only one episode in this season where not that much happens, but in a majority of the episodes in Season 2, there really isn't anything but action, and that's what makes this season so freaking entertaining. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's really fun. You guys know that in the sequel trilogy, all I ever wanted was more action, a good lightsaber duel here and there, maybe some battles, I don't know, some fun, action-packed adventures, but we didn't get that in that trilogy, so The Mandalorian makes up for it big time in Season 2 because every single episode, for the most part, has plenty of action to offer, and all of it is so entertaining. The fan service as well for Disney Star Wars is at an all-time high in The Mandalorian Season 2. There are characters that come back from the original trilogy, the Clone Wars. There are characters that you have not seen before in live action, and now they are here in live action form. If you have not seen The Mandalorian Season 2 yet, or if you don't know who's been casted as certain characters in this season, well, I won't spoil that for you, but I'll tell you what, the fan service here was really great. Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, I have to say, thank you guys, because this is all I ever asked for. I wanted to see these characters. That's what we got. Plus, we get to see these characters in action. Sometimes they go beast mode. I was craving that stuff. That's all I ever asked for. And the fact that Jon Favreau gave it to us in the form of a live action Star Wars TV series, my dreams just came true, especially watching the last episode of this season. My mind was blown. I could not have been any happier than I was. In terms of the performances, you know what to expect from the actors already in The Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal coming back once again to reprise his role as Din Djarin. The man knows Star Wars clearly, and in this season, not only was he great in terms of his acting, but he brought out a lot of emotion in me. And that's really difficult to do as an actor, but he was able to pull that off, and I have to give him a ton of credit because this performance may be his best performance of all time in season 2. When looking at this season as a whole, the emotional moments stick out to me the most. I could not help myself a couple of times. I was tearing up, the waterfall would not stop. This show got my emotions to come out, and I literally have not felt this emotional about a TV show or movie in Star Wars since probably Obi-Wan versus Anakin in episode 3. So once again, I have to give a big thank you to both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. You two have done a magnificent job with the creation of The Mandalorian. I cannot wait to see what this TV series has next to offer. You know what's funny? I should have gotten really emotional when Star Wars first returned in the form of the sequel trilogy, but that didn't happen. But hey, if you guys are huge fans of the OG Star Wars trilogies, as in the original trilogy and prequels, well then you guys will love this season of The Mandalorian. It's all about nostalgia, so if you guys have not seen The Mandalorian Season 2 yet, or for this instance, The Mandalorian Season 1, what are you doing? If you love Star Wars, go check it out pronto. I'm giving The Mandalorian Season 2 an A. Alright, now it's time for my spoiler-filled part of this review. If you guys have not seen The Mandalorian Season 2 yet, what are you doing? Go ahead, watch the series first, then come back and watch this part of the review. There will be spoilers here, so you have been warned. There are 8 episodes to talk about, so I'm going to do my best to get through this really quickly. Episode 1 is titled The Marshal. On Tatooine, Timothy Olyphant plays a marshal who teams up with the Mandalorian to take down the sand monster who's been terrorizing the small town. I thought this was a very strong opening. I believe it is the longest episode of the season, and rightfully so. There's plenty of action, there's good story development here, as well as character development. You learn a lot more about the Tusken Raiders. You actually see a good side to them. They're not the barbarians that we see in A New Hope. We also get a pretty sick monster fight that takes place at the end of this episode. I always enjoy watching monster fights in TV shows and movies, so to see this here in a Star Wars TV series was breathtaking. I really enjoyed the monster fight between Timothy Olyphant and the Mandalorian taking down this sand monster. I don't remember the name of it, but that thing was pretty freaking cool. And at the end of this episode, Boba Fett makes a cameo, which got a lot of people talking. When would he appear in this season? We see him in this episode, so will we see him again in this season? Nobody knew, but I'll touch more on Boba Fett in just a bit. Season 2, Episode 1 was a great opening. I do wish we saw more of Timothy Olyphant. He was excellent as the Marshal, but maybe we'll see him in Season 3 or Season 4. I don't know. Episode 2 is titled The Passenger. This is where Frog Lady made her debut. The Mando is given coordinates to this planet where he could possibly find some Mandalorians to help him out with Baby Yoda, but on his voyage to that planet, he gets sidetracked and unfortunately is stuck on this icy cold planet where of course there's a bunch of monsters that look like spiders. Episode 2 without a doubt is the weakest of this season. We get a few entertaining sequences like the one where Mando is escaping from the 2 X-Wings, and then obviously the scene where he's fighting off these spider-like creatures. Those 2 scenes were fun. Episode 3 is titled The Heiress. This is where Bo-Katan makes her live action debut, played by Katie Sackhoff, the same woman who voiced the character in the Clone Wars TV series, alongside both Sasha Banks and another male Mandalorian who I do not know the name of that actor, but regardless, it was great to see Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan in live action. To see her here means that I'm pretty sure we're going to see other animated Star Wars characters in future live action form. I love the scene where they come to the Mando's rescue, take down a bunch of Quarren, and kill the sea monster, and then we get this epic 15-minute heist scene at the end of the episode, everything having to do with Bo-Katan in this entire third episode of season 2 was to die for. I absolutely love the third episode of season 2. Season 4 is another good one titled The Siege. First and foremost, it's great to see both Carl Weathers and Gina Carano reprise their roles from season 1. I started caring deeply about their characters in season 1, so to see them back here gave me a warm feeling on the inside. And we get another fun, action-packed mission. The second half of this episode never once stops, and we even learn more about Moff Gideon's dark plan, what he has in store for Baby Yoda, what's he gonna do with his blood. And even though Giancarlo Esposito only made one small appearance at this point in the season so far, coming in the form of this episode, you can tell that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with later on this season. The guy is excellent as Moff Gideon. Episode 5 was a highly anticipated episode for many. It's titled The Jedi, which obviously is a reference to Ahsoka Tano, who makes her live action debut here in this episode. I got the same exact feeling in the pit of my stomach when I saw Ahsoka in live action for the first time as I did when I saw Bo-Katan in live action for the first time. I'm a huge fan of the Clone Wars TV series, and to see these characters who we know in animation form mostly in live action now is something that puts me on a different level. It's a feeling I can't describe, and I love the little side quests we get in this episode where Ahsoka and Mando team up to free a small town from this dictator. We got a couple of episodes in the Clone Wars TV series that had similar storylines, and they're always satisfying, so I do enjoy watching these kind of storylines on the screen. I must also mention that Baby Yoda got his name in this episode. Yes, his name is Grogu, finally. Now going back to season 2's action, this is the episode where yes, Ahsoka takes out her lightsabers and dismantles some guards. And we get a great duel at the end of the episode where Ahsoka is using her lightsabers facing off against this dictator who is using a spear made of Beskar. Just another quality episode. A lot of you guys have been waiting to see Ahsoka Tano in live action for the longest time, and here we finally get it. The Tragedy is the title of episode 6. Mando takes Grogu to this planet where Grogu will have to meditate in order to reach another Jedi who can help train him. And this is where Boba Fett makes his much anticipated return. I was all in the moment that Boba Fett came on the screen, started talking. It was a miracle in the making. I cannot believe that they brought back the actor Tamura Morrison, who we know from episode 2. He played Jango Fett. Oh my god, if you think I got excited about seeing Bo-Katan and Ahsoka, well, I wish you saw my reaction to seeing Boba Fett, because this guy is one of the coolest Star Wars characters that we've ever gotten. And the fact that they have barely utilized this man ever since The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, it just makes no sense. It's really disappointing. So finally, we got this guy back in Star Wars. Boba wants his armor back that Mando got from Timothy Oliphant in episode 1. And all of a sudden, the Empire ambushes the Mando because in the 4th episode, someone put a tracking device on the Mando's ship. So now we have the Empire versus Mando, Boba Fett, and Fennec, who was back in this episode. No, she did not die in the first season, thank God. This was one of the most emotional episodes of the series yet, and considering we get to see Boba Fett going beast mode, tearing these stormtroopers to absolute pieces, was maybe the greatest thing I have ever seen from Disney Star Wars. This was my favorite episode up until that point, and then later on in the series, we had a better episode come after it. I'm not going to say which one it is yet, but you probably know which one I'm talking about. But seeing Boba Fett here, oh my god, I loved it. Episode 7 is titled The Believer. Bill Burr is back in the TV series, who you may remember from the first season, and I actually loved his character in this episode. There's some great development for both him and the Mando in one scene where they're sharing a conversation with an officer. This is another one of those side mission episodes where they have to do one thing in order to get to another place, and a lot of people thought that this episode was filler. I don't agree. I thought this episode was really exciting and entertaining. We got to see Mando versus these apocalypse looking like pirates. That was a lot of fun. Din takes off his helmet too. At this point, it was only the second time that Din had ever taken off his helmet in the series. I always thought that Pedro Pascal would have the same accent that he had in Game of Thrones in real life, but that's not at all the case. I was way off. In general, I actually thought that season 2, episode 7 was the most epic of the entire season so far. Even if there's not as much story in this episode, there's so much action to where it feels like a finale of a TV series. And the final episode of season 2 is titled The Rescue. Of course, this one is the favorite for many. Why is that? Well, I'll get to that in just a second. We have a lot of good build-up in this episode. You can tell that something huge is about to happen. Again, like the first 7 episodes of this season, there is some incredibly filmed action. We get a small fight too between Moff Gideon and Din. Din is using the Beskar spear and Gideon is using his Darksaber. This fight is a lot of fun, but it doesn't last as long as maybe some of you guys were hoping it would. And just when everything seems fine, the Dark Troopers return from outer space and you think to yourself, could everyone die in this last episode except for Grogu and Moff Gideon? What's gonna happen? But no, that does not happen because Luke Skywalker returns in this episode. He destroys all of these Dark Troopers like they're nothing. I heard some people say that Luke may return in this season. I didn't buy it. I thought it was too far-fetched. But no, they actually did it. And when this happened on the screen, the tears were flowing all over again. Yes, they did use a body double and Mark Hamill's face is de-aged. The CGI is very noticeable. But you know what? I didn't care. This is the only way, in my opinion, that you could bring Luke Skywalker back. I don't want to see him recasted. We already saw Luke Skywalker at this age in the original trilogy, so to see someone else play Luke Skywalker at this same age wouldn't feel right. And like I said, I teared up when I first saw Luke, and I also teared up when Grogu says goodbye to Mando. I got some serious E.T. vibes here. It reminded me so much of that movie. I was dying at the end of this episode. I wish I filmed my reaction, but it's pretty embarrassing, so maybe that's a good thing I didn't. Overall, the finale was incredible, and we get a great after-credits sequence where Boba returns to Jabba's palace. He takes the throne that belongs to him of the underworld, and now we're getting a Boba Fett TV show titled The Book of Boba Fett. Wow, what else will they have in store for us here at Disney Star Wars? I have been extremely critical of them so far, but maybe because Kathleen Kennedy is giving a lot more power to both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni that maybe things will start looking better. And I can tell because The Mandalorian Season 2 was incredible. I thought 7 of the 8 episodes in Season 2 were great. Only Episode 2 I found so-so. It reminded me of a few of those episodes in Season 1 where you could have skipped them and it wouldn't have mattered. Overall, this season was absolutely fantastic. Could not have asked for anything better than that. Maybe they'll top it in Season 3, you never know, or in one of the Star Wars movies coming up, or TV series they have planned, you never know. Of course though guys, if you also have your thoughts on The Mandalorian Season 2, be sure to let me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are of it. Next up, I will have my reactions to both Wonder Woman 1984 and Soul. I'll be on vacation in Florida, so gonna film those out there. We'll see how that goes. As always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.